December meeting. Can we get an approval of today's agenda? Thank you, thank you. Any opposition?
For the minutes, make a move to approve.
That was the agenda, Chris. We're getting to the minutes. How about to the minutes? Any additions, corrections?
Could we wait?
There is a motion to approve.
Oh, thank you, Francine.
Where's my minutes? Where's my printed out minutes?
Yeah, folks who are on the phone, it is important that you mute your end until you're ready to speak so that we can not hear a rustling sound in the background, because this room does not have the best acoustics as it is.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Francine. It's Randy.
Just so, in case you haven't checked your emails this morning, our featured speaker, Ronnie Haycom, MTA Managing Director, is ill today. Bob Ferrand, Chief Financial Officer, and Helene Frome, Chief of Staff, will be substituting for Ronnie and making a presentation in the area in the neighborhood of 1 o'clock. That being said, let me go into the chair's report. While I know everybody has met Lisa and I've introduced her any number of times at any number of meetings, I just can't get tired of doing it. So this is our new Executive Director, Lisa Daglian.
2.5 months.
Says only 2 months here.
Just over 2 months.
Okay.
When we were.
She's been really active. She's been everywhere, like the Visa card. I mean, she's really been on the job, and we're really thankful for her presence here.
Yes.
We really are. As I said, Bob Ferrand will be joining us to talk about the 2019 financial plan. As you've seen in the press and elsewhere, a lot is happening at the MTA, and it will be good to get an overview, particularly in light of massive fare evasion, budget cuts, budget balancing acts that you've read about in the press, and others, and the fare hike hearings that are ongoing. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank Ira Greenberg, our Long Island Railroad Commuter Council MTA Board and Queens representative. He will be departing the council at the end of the year, leaving a vacancy in our representation. Ira has been with the council since 2005. Thank you very much for your service, Ira. I've always appreciated your thoughtful, insightful comments, criticisms, concerns, and your shoes are not going to be filled. It'll be another person, but we really thank you for all you've done for us on the board, on the Long Island Railroad Commuter Council, and on the PCAC as a whole. So really, thank you very much.
Andrew, why don't you say why he's leaving?
Ira has been elected civil court judge in the borough of the county of Queens. So here, from now on, we refer to him as Your Honor. Yes? Yes.
Didn't you always?
Now we refer to him as Your Majesty.
That was before.
No,
Your
there's no
Honor.
title like that in this country. You can call me judge.
Ira, we have a number of items that we would like to present to you.
Oh, I don't know if I want to accept gifts. Are these gifts are going away? This is a gift?
They're going away gifts, you're allowed to.
I don't think you're sworn in yet.
It's not a
Okay.
gift, it's a
That's
token
right,
of
isn't it?
You're
appreciation.
not sworn in yet. Okay, you can still take graft. You're not in
You're
yet.
not sworn in until January, so you can accept it.
No, but as an MTA board member, I guess so.
You don't get paid for
These
being
are
on the
unsolicited.
and you don't vote.
Oh, should I open it?
Absolutely.
It says Queens Boulevard on there.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's city DOT.
You can choose to open it, you can hit someone over the head with it, whatever you prefer.
Oh, it's a weapon?
With you, everything is a weapon.
And we're happy to present you with this certificate of appreciation in recognition of 13 years of service to the PCAC.
Well, thank you.
Didn't I get one of these?
Like 10 years or something?
Started doing it 2 years ago.
We don't have to.
By the time it comes. And that way
That's
it's.
okay,
Yep, they were focused, nice to take it out forward.
No, they know Ira on site.
Who does?
It's a big easy
Which is why
pass.
he needs a building pass.
No, they don't know me because I use my pass. But Darlene knows me.
She's not downstairs. So that's-
Yeah, but She's retiring too, Darlene Slade. She's actually retiring.
They gave you a rope, Ira. Right.
Okay, cut it.
I hope he opens it before he becomes a judge, huh?
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Jeff.
But exactly.
All right, here we go. What?
Hello.
No, I'm opening this. Oh, there's people who can't see.
Well, it's
They
not.
gave me a big thing. I'm opening it. I have, look at this.
Starting
This
with a
looks
blank
beautiful.
Isn't that great? Take a mirror.
Oh, it's from the subway.
Let's see.
Why does
It's
it
not,
look
it's not
big?
physically from the subway. They can just take it on the subway and bring it in.
It's called a car
It's one of these
card.
art. It's one of
It's
these
called a
art
car
things.
card. What station?
It's milk and bread.
It's a very nice.
No, it's advertising for.
No, it's not advertising, is it?
No, but it's a car card for the whole system.
It's artwork.
It's known as
It's
a
art.
car
Dan
card.
Funderburg.
All right.
I've seen it on the Como cards, but let's not talk about that.
You better
Well, thank
not
you.
add.
I can take this out of the building, no one's gonna say anything?
Ira, there'll be a little more. but
Put a
we're
little
gonna move on.
paint stick on the
Yeah,
back.
let's move on.
We're moving on.
That's wise.
As you all know,
Thank you, Carol.
as you know, Joe Loda resigned as MTA chair in early November. The governor has indicated a new chair will likely be appointed when the legislature reconvenes in the new year. Joe did an outstanding job during his 2 tenures at the MTA, and his leadership was especially critical during the meltdown of the subway back in 2017. The fair hearings have taken up a lot of our collective time over the past few weeks. While we are more than halfway through them, Brooklyn, Queens, and west of Hudson will take place next week. It's one of those holiday traditions, you know, family get-togethers, festive lights, great meals, fair hike hearings. It's one of those things that goes together at holiday time. Thanks go to everyone who has helped with testimony and attended the hearings. Our presence is important at these hearings, and I know it cuts into everyone's schedules, especially at this very busy time of year. A vote on the proposed fare increase and budget is scheduled for the January MTA board meeting. A special finance committee meeting was held earlier this week to take a closer look into the budget proposal for each operating agency, and also included a presentation on fare beating. We know it's rampant, but hearing the figures was eye-opening and seems to have spurred the MTA into action. Since her tenure began, Lisa has presented testimony at committee meetings, board meetings, including the special meeting of the Finance Committee that I just referred to. Her first testimony was in support of the board's procurement working groups. She has also spoken several times about Amazon's move to Long Island City, which also came up at virtually every one of the Fair Hike hearings. Called on them to fund transit infrastructure investments for nearby subway and Long Island Railroad stations, and there has been considerable media coverage around this issue in which PCAC featured promptly. If you want to pass this around, if you haven't seen it, this is Lisa's letter in cranes. It was sent, so okay, fine. We submitted a letter to the Times, but it did not ultimately run, unfortunately. We will continue to pursue opportunities to press the issue, and Andy Byford is also now saying that he welcomes Amazon's contributions.
Andrew?
Yes.
I just want to know, this is not because it was me, but the Manhattan testimony was covered all over the place. And I was quoted with saying that if I represented the Transit Riders Council, and I was the only one who I was actually in print. So I want to just suggest to everybody, whenever you represent us anywhere, and thanks to Lisa, who was schlepping me all over the place, but that you make yourself known to the media that's there and who and what you represented. Because one of the people I spoke to didn't even know we existed after all these years.
So that's one of the roles that we play when we go to the fair hearings as well, is to not just schlep you around, but
Yeah,
also
no,
to
no.
work with the media with you.
To make ourselves known to the media and who we
We
are.
schlep with
and
the best of them.
Right, what?
Nothing, I'm just being silly. PCAC staff and some others of you attended the very moving memorial service for Bill Wheeler, which was held at St. Patrick's Cathedral. There must have been close to 1,000 people in that cathedral. A testament to how widely respected Bill was. He will definitely be missed. Staff are also attending conferences and events that support PCAC's goals and mission. In October, Bradley attended Railvolution in Pittsburgh. Railvolution is a national conference attended by various transit agencies, consultants, and transit enthusiasts. There were many takeaways from the conference that can be useful to the council. Sheila attended transportation camp with transportation professionals and nerds from different agencies. That's not saying Sheila's a nerd, is it? No. Okay.
No.
All right then.
No, I like it, yeah.
Okay, the camp, yeah, Sheila attended camp. Andy Byford and Sarah Meyer presented their Fast Forward plan along with workshops on working with GTFS data, performance dashboards, and hacking agency culture. Getting coughs at this time of year, too. In addition, Bradley recently passed his American Institute of Certified Planners, or AICP, exam. Yay, Bradley! Guess you're going to see that after his name from now on.
Spell that completely?
No. He spent well over 6 months studying all topics related to urban planning at the national level and attended PCAC occasionally, too. The membership will provide him with valuable planning tools that he can bring back to the PCAC and councils. And just while I had just mentioned Fast Forward, I think Fast Forward is now in the consciousness of virtually 80% of the population. Everybody raised it at the Fair Hike hearings, of the ones that have been held thus far. Fast Forward this, that, I mean, it's really out there, and I think it's a tribute to Andy that he did all the borough meetings, he's raised it, he's done interviews, I mean, it's everywhere. It's like,
Well,
We spoke about it at Queen's Breakfast.
yeah.
can
yeah,
we
the
add
Crane's
something
breakfast.
else to your report about Fast Forward also? Andy, for those of you who don't know, Andy Byford was profiled on 60 Minutes.
That's actually true, it's in.
Oh, it
we
is
let-
in there?
Yeah,
It's
we
coming.
just let everything happen and
It's
it'll
coming.
happen.
Okay.
We are looking forward to continuing to be active in the new year, particularly as fair hikes loom and the funding outlook remains bleak. You'll recall that in March of this year, we passed a resolution in support of congestion pricing. Our continuing vocal support of this funding mechanism, along with other recurring sustainable funding sources, will be more important than ever in 2019 as we seek to educate the public and elected officials about the critical need for this funding. We will hear more about our member involvement in the MTA Sustainability Advisory Working Group when Randy gives the Metro North Chair's report. And let us move into the LIRRCC report. Mark, you doing that?
Yeah. Who else would? I'm just gonna do what we usually do. I'm gonna let my report stand for itself and take questions, but I did want to echo one thing. I just wanted to again highlight Ira, who has really been, there are organizations where there are people who understand, has institutional history of an organization, who have the technical understanding of things with the railroad and everything. And then there are people who ride it and must understand the everyday rider's experience. Ira is one of the rare people that has both. I know when I came on the council, I didn't have, and I still don't have really any institutional history of it. And I always call Ira. Ira's been a true mentor to me and has become a real friend. I call him, I'm on the train, I think of something, why aren't they doing this? I'll get off the train, I'll call him, and
We just spoke last night.
and a half hour later, all of a sudden, oh, because we go on to a lot of topics, he's become a true friend.
And he still takes your calls.
Well, we'll see when the robe is on if he still takes my calls. So it's going to be a true loss. It's a loss to me personally. It's a loss to Long Island Railroad Community Council. It's a loss to PCAC. A loss to the board. And most importantly, it's a loss really to the riders because his experience and his knowledge and his enthusiasm for everything is really something we're going to miss. So I just really want to highlight that. I thank you on behalf of myself and from our council. And I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully you will once in a while keep in touch and listen to what we're saying and what we're doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I will be, if I get the right position, I'll be in Jamaica every day. So I might be riding the railroad to work, so.
Any derailments you know about right there.
Or I could choose the railroad or the subway. I'll be on. Well, thank you very much. This is really very nice.
Is he
I'd like
allowed,
any questions on the report, but I
No.
think everyone's seen it and probably read it.
is he allowed to appear before you as a,
Who?
since you know?
That's a good question.
No, you'll have to recuse
That was
yourself.
before the,
He would always rule against me, so why do I want to go in front of him?
You could raise it.
Anyone have any questions of Mark, of any items in the report you received? Okay, Randy, you're on.
Hard act to follow. I agree with everything that Mark said about Ira, and that it's gonna be a big loss for the whole MTA family. In fact, when I joined the PCAC in 2009, he was the only chair that I knew until I became the chair in 2013. So we're definitely gonna miss you, and I wish you the best of luck, and I know you're gonna be successful there.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you all for all your kind wishes over the years and the time.
Here,
I'll
we
say
have,
thank you. Just keep going.
fast forward, the Metro North has their own way ahead, and the Long Island Railroad has it, so we're all copycatting each other. The bottom line is that we really need to get the system up to a better state of repair than it is. Rhonda Herman, who is calling in, or she she was appointed to the sustainability, and she kind of gave us a brief report at the
Wow.
NRCC meeting, so it was a very nice thing that she did it. And Francina, who was on the phone, was attending a dinner where Angela also went, a women's transportation seminar, and Kathy Rinaldi, the president, was honored as a Woman of the Year. We're still having our issues with west of Hudson, so I'm not going to take any time. We have to get it again. And I just visited a PTC sustainability work group as part of being a railroad committee, and we had some positive information about how the railroads are doing with PTC. And Metro North, I think it was the 21st of November, ran their first train in passenger service with passengers on it successfully between the area that is being tested. That's Croton Harmon, or Croton on Hudson for the people who are familiar with the railroad, down to Tarrytown. And on a daily basis, trains are doing the same testing, and Long Island Railroad is at the point where they're ready to start doing some of their testing too. That concludes my report.
Does anyone have any questions of Randy on the Metro North Commuter Council report? All right, I will not read most of this, but there is some good news for transit riders. With the announcement that there will be additional service on the G and 7 lines. That's in addition to the E, J, M, and Z when the L train tube is shut down in April of 2019. Some of these improvements on the 7 line are made possible by the final installation and turn on of CBTC on the number 7 line, which will result in 2 or 3 additional trains per hour next year. Unfortunately, when the day of the announcement, there were really major problems on the 7 line, which was a very auspicious beginning to it, and it was all over the news. But there continue to be signal issues. Andy is encouraged by some of the new technology that's being tested. It's also being tested in Boston and in Los Angeles, which is ultra-wideband frequency. And hopefully this will prove fruitful, and they will be able to install new signals in half the time and in less than half the cost of what it would take normally. And as funding is still unknown, and I know everybody's making a lot out of the fact that we now have a Democratic state Senate, and I did hear Senator Hoylman the other day at my community board speak about congestion pricing and other measures to help the MTA. It's far from a done deal at this point. So we're all awaiting the reconvening of the legislature and to see who the new MTA leader will be when the governor makes his selection.
How soon? I mean, could they appoint it?
They reconvene in early January.
I mean, could they just like take one of the first items of business, or they have to wait till they do all that MTA stuff?
They can,
Doesn't the governor?
No,
they
What are you
can
talking
have
about?
to do everything.
Appointment of a chairman?
Yeah.
If,
It's the governor.
unless the governor sends the name to the Senate appoints. They have to wait for
They have to
one.
wait for them to be seated down
Yes,
first. so.
which
yeah,
is
but
why
that's
it's waiting
in
until
3, that's in
January.
3 weeks.
Yes,
2 weeks.
no, 3.
Three.
Yes,
The various, for those of you who are not from the city, we're going to be having a special election for public advocate to take Tish James' place, and there have been all these fora all over the place. And the issue that keeps on coming up is congestion pricing, and about at least 8 out of the 17 people who are running, and that's how many there are right now, who have spoken to me directly to tell me that they are in favor of congestion pricing, so,
These are candidates for a public advocate?
yes,
But
yes.
it's gonna be a state decision, not a city.
No, but they will be,
Oh.
well, a couple
Both,
of,
yeah.
a couple of them are also state assembly members with that, I'm purposely not mentioning names.
Yes,
And
yes.
they are going to be pushing it also, so that, and then also Sam Schwartz spoke at Hunter College last week, and I was there, and whether it was because he saw me there and he knows I would bring it up if he didn't mention it, but he is the father of congestion pricing, really.
He is
Or that's how he bills himself.
the current, yeah.
And that's how, if you don't tell everybody that he is, he'll tell you. But he spoke very strongly, and he will be pushing it in the legislature, he and all of his people, so.
I think that it's gonna be a big legislative issue, and the DMTA is also gonna be supporting it. Very aggressive.
There's also the Rudin Center came out with that new proposal.
Yes,
Yeah,
the tax on marijuana as a
Yeah.
way to help pay for something.
sounds good to
Yeah.
me.
Does that mean all these stone people are gonna be falling into the tracks though?
They're already stoned.
They already
No, if
are.
anything, a tax, well, a tax on something would reduce its usage, raise its price and reduce its usage, so,
Oh,
Right.
okay,
I mean,
that's an idea.
that's,
Let's let our executive director do her report.
Thank you very much. I think this is, excuse me, actually the first time that we've had a formal executive director's report that's a little more encompassing. So I did want to take the opportunity first and foremost to thank everybody for welcoming me. And at the top, excuse me, at the top of that list, in addition to the council members, certainly is the PCAC staff, who's been absolutely wonderful. And nothing would have gone out last night if Ellen hadn't stayed late and taken care of it, so I really appreciate that. As Sheila went to the fair hearing in Westchester, or Bradley went the other day, it's been such an amazing team effort. Carol started the preparation of all of the chair's reports and really had good bones about it, so it's been really great, and our goal is to certainly get materials out even sooner, and we've got some mechanisms that we're lining up that we're gonna work toward that. In preparation for my coming here, everybody, the team developed a policy and procedures office binder, which is the first time that's been put together for the PCAC office, which is really terrific. And we've also begun the development of materials for training and orientation for new council members, because we do know that that is a big issue. First of all, the need for council members, and then also to ensure that we have the right materials so that people come in with their eyes wide open and know what's expected of them. So that's really terrific. And we'll be getting those out to you as we further develop them. We have been, as Andy said, testifying as often as we can. Ellen's testified at the city council earlier this week in support of Fast Forward. It was a 3-hour New York City Council Transportation Committee meeting with Andy Byford on the hot seat. But we also saw him at Cranes yesterday. Basically, he's a rock star, and everybody just wants to be in his aura. So he is a true believer in that funding for this will happen, and he makes everybody in the room, or he made everybody in the room, believers that it's going to happen too. So if you haven't seen him speak, and I'm sure that you all have, because I know he spoke here earlier, there will be opportunities for him to see him. He's been doing community forums and the like across the city. Yes, he's ubiquitous Byford. We also spoke at the December Special Finance Committee meeting calling for the formation of a transparency working group to create navigable online data and information for riders and others to be able to understand how funding comes in, where it goes, how it's spent, and where the budget holes are. And this was essentially after, they came about after the committee meetings and the board meeting the previous month, where members said, okay, but where are these numbers coming from? And how can I find them? And the need for a special meeting. And at the fair hearings where people were saying, so where does the money go? What happens to it? So really, we thought that it would be helpful not just for us who have the ability to get information that others may not, but to, for everybody in the public to be able to access what are public numbers, but just not in a readable format. So that's something that we hope will be addressed. We are undertaking 2 significant year-end activities to help strengthen PCAC and councils now and into the future. We are undertaking a sentimental analysis, which is looking at, it's a program that will be piloted during the L-Train shutdown, and it's basically a Twitter, we're moving to an automated Twitter search for hashtags that are L-Train related. It could be a whole variety of different terms. The MTA is doing something on a smaller scale. It's like a hashtag MTA L-Train, so we are expanding that. This is a pilot program that will then, once it's successfully launched, look to bring to Metro North and to the Long Island Railroad Councils to work on different projects there. And finally, we are also working, we've gotten approval from the executive committee to participate in a staff retreat, a 2-day staff retreat. We will be accessible and available during those days, but the end goal of this is to help us develop the foundation for a strategic plan and a strategic direction forward that we will work with the executive committee and the councils to make sure we're all in alignment and help us move forward now and into the new year. So that's in advance of the budget. I don't know if you want me to go into that.
I will.
Okay, great. So we did send out, Ellen sent out some material last night that presented a budget overview, including personnel expenses and non-personnel expenses, along with a chart of what our actual and proposed budget, our actual 2018, our proposed 2018, actual 2018, and proposed 2019 budget are. We have copies for anybody who may need one. We are, the MTA, for those of you who don't know, funds the personnel expenses and takes care of the very extensive housekeeping that requires. So that includes salaries, benefits, the Metro Mobility Tax, and we have been advised that we can expect to be funded $589,276 in labor expenses for 2019 out of a total expected budget that includes non-personnel expenses of $664,560. And before I go into it even a little further, Deborah and Ellen and everybody were so helpful in helping to pull this information together because it wasn't all in one place and it required a lot of research. So we will get it to you sooner. It was just a little bit of a morass, finding all the different places that it lived and getting it together. So we want to be transparent also. We can't just, go on with people to do that. So we'll be happy to answer questions about that. We've also been advised that we hold the same number of positions moving into 2019 as we do in 2018. That's 5 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees. And one of those part-time positions remains unfilled. And we've been advised that we're not able to fill it at this time because of budget cuts, because of the hiring freeze and budget cuts. But the good news is that we retain the position, so there's hope in the future for that. With regard to non-personnel expenses, we do have 1 month left in the year. And this year, I think also for the first time, we're anticipating expending our entire allocation, which is $71,568. Now, we do have ample reserves, but we think it's important to show that we can and do need these funds and that we use them judiciously. So we will have a zero balance.
Sure you want to say that with Ira there?
Small j judiciously.
Okay.
So we do anticipate a modest increase in 2019 to $73,785. a chart that the members were mailed yesterday, which, as I said, breaks down the 2018 budget, what we've expended through November, and then our anticipated additional December expenses, and shows the difference between the projected final expenses and so our year-end balance on those. We did have a couple of areas where we went slightly over what we anticipated and allocated. And one of those areas that some of you may understand was member expenses, because we had a member who is no longer on the council, who accumulated $706 worth of receipts over several years and came in all at once, and we needed to reimburse them. So we will be looking at some policies to ensure that if you have expenses that need to be reimbursed, that it happens soon. This is good. Yeah, this is good, accounting principles, and it's something that we really need to
What's
adhere
the
to.
timeline for submitting them?
Well, we should probably discuss that at the next executive committee meeting, so that we can then have that.
We don't want this to happen again.
Yeah, it was $706, and it was a small hole in the budget, but it could potentially, be
Sure.
rather significant.
Is there some kind of a form for expenses so that it's uniform for everybody?
We'll work on that.
Receipt or
We'll work
something?
on that as well. We'll work on a whole policy for that, because that is going to be, we need to know where the money's going, how it gets there, and who needs what. So it's,
That's a simple thing.
a lot of places that I've worked before, if you didn't get your expenses in a month or 2 months, that's it.
Yeah.
However, that's a decision.
If you don't get it in a timely fashion, you lose.
Yes.
And you should define timely.
We will.
We will.
And I believe you already have,
Okay.
I remember one back in 2010.
All right, well, we need something that's online too.
Lisa, from the time
Yes,
this group approves or just whatever action they take on this budget,
yes.
to the time that it's submitted to MTA, I assume is relatively quickly. How long before we hear from them back? Do you know that?
They have already told us what our allocation is gonna be for next year, including our monthly.
And our budget fits
amounts.
within that
Absolutely.
envelope?
It is to the dollar, fits in within it. And, there's always unanticipated expenses, and this year end, we had two that we were able to fit and move some of the line items around because we did have balances, particularly in printing and advertising that we were able to use for other funds. This is our money, this is how PCAC has decided, has traditionally, and probably continue to unless we hear objections, outlined its forecast actual and projected budgets. So we request that it be approved. We think that there's a lot of exciting opportunities that we can continue to be part of and fund and sponsor, and one of the I think priorities for me certainly and for staff is to